Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee meeting for May 27th, 2026. We're going to be covering the items that we looked at last night for the schools and then doing cleanup, and hopefully we'll set a property tax rate for publication before we leave here today. Our first order of business, however, is we've had someone sign up for a public comment. Is Danielle Nadeau here? Please come forward. We're going to give you 3 minutes, unless you can persuade us otherwise, to keep you going. Yeah, welcome. And you just speak toward that little green circle. Come on this side.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Danielle Nadeau, District 6. I want to thank all of the board members and commissioners and for everything that you do, and just wanted to ask some questions and kind of go over trying to get a better understanding of what all is going on. First and foremost, I'm very confused why the SharePoint documents were removed last night regarding all the budget. Everyone that's trying to follow along can't do so if we don't have the documents. It was there yesterday, maybe for a couple of days. But as of last week, I know Chairman P asked for them to be published, and then they confused. So thankfully, I was able to find the school board documents on their agenda, which was kind of what I was primarily going for. I don't understand not wanting to feed children when there is a surplus in the cafeteria account. Right now, school lunches for elementary are $3.25 for lunch, $3.50 for middle and high school. Breakfast is $2. So that's $5.25 or $5.50 a day for a student to eat at school. They have to eat, they have to be there. You want them there, let's keep them there. Let's feed them. Reduce lunches, that all depends upon the poverty rate, which does not correspond to our cost of living increases and whatnot. Can we not cover some of that and make up a difference? This is an expensive lunch for kids, especially if people have multiple kids. Can we include fresh fruit and yogurt in the lunch items versus them being a la carte? I think cookies are $1 to $1.50 each, something like that the last time I looked. Kids should be able to buy things that their friends like, or just have it in their lunch without having to worry about whether they've been charged too much or they have charged too much on their account and can't afford to pay for it. In one of the last school board meetings, it was mentioned, and then again last night, that there's no match for this funding if we went through the universal free lunch school program, which the city schools go through, so I'm not sure why the county can't do it. It was done years ago in the past, and I think we were removed for not maintaining the nutrition standards, but I am not exactly positive on that. It's been about 10 years. So why can't we do something to help them with this? The parents are asking every year for this to be included. They're asking because it's what matters and it's what they need. If they're asking every year, they need it. Let's give them something that they need, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Okay, next order of business is the Central Cafeteria Fund Budget Amendments. And I'm going to ask the school board reps that are going to cover this, come on up. I don't expect them to go through the full presentation that we did last night. I think most of us have heard that. However, if there are questions, I'll entertain them now. But if some of you need a refresher on there, of course, they're here to do that for us. So first thing, I'm going to open up the floor to the Budget Committee and see if you have any questions on the cafeteria fund. You're recognized, Chairman Harris.
Questions to Michael, though. Michael, on the school facilities tax, you had 2.8 million. Is that number not way conservative low?
Are you, you're talking about,
School facilities tax, you're putting it in 177. Okay, so you got 2.8. Is that number low, is that not low?
oh, it's most definitely low. But we'll come back and amend 177 throughout the year if that comes in over. Since that 177 is directly related to the money that comes in as the money they spend on the projects. So yes, that number is probably definitely low, but we come back and amend that because that does not affect their maintenance of effort.
Yeah, and the reason I'm saying that is because some of these commissioners we're kind of talking about the lunches and the free lunches and stuff, and that could be revenue that we could use toward that.
We can, that revenue is restricted to only be used for certain purposes, and I don't think we can use that for the 143 school lunches
So it's got to stay in 177?
or 151.
141? Okay.
Any other questions from the committee pertaining to the central cafeteria fund budget? Commissioner Irvin?
Thank you. So from last night, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not able to show you have 2 million in indirect costs, right? There's no place you're collecting it.
Those are not fees, or those are not costs that we can readily have available that we can just pull out in a 24-hour period. So I would have to dig in very deep to be able to find them. It's not something that's just there on the surface because, as I said last night, for example, electricity, I can't pull that out of just because we don't have a meter running in a cafeteria. So I can't tell you exactly what that cost would be for cafeterias. So that's the reason why it's indirect. Basically what we do is we take the calculation that goes with indirect cost, calculate it based off of what the federal government allows us to be able to do, and apply a percentage to that. And like I said, they're not readily available because they're not split out by a classroom or a location. It's not split out by a specific finance personnel or your custodians. We can't dictate how many hours a custodian spends in the cafeteria. We don't know that. That's hard to be able to determine how, those numbers. It's one of those things that's, very, very difficult to pull out, and to be able to turn that around in 24 hours is almost impossible.
Okay, but you've had a little bit longer than 24 hours, right? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm just saying this cost accounting goes on all the time. People allocate numbers to electricity, other overhead items, just things all the time. I'm just curious if you have a basis. And it sounds like instead of having a basis, we've done it based on a safe harbor number or something like that. It sounds like what we've used. Okay, and if that's the answer, okay, we'll go with that. Okay, all right. Yeah. So the rationale for not reducing the meal cost was your belief, or Dr. Sullivan's belief, I'm not sure which, that it would increase bad meal debt, okay, based on COVID. Is that right? Is that accurate?
And ultimately, that's a school board decision.
Fair enough.
Yeah, school board, we're getting into the operational side of the school board now. I think we need to stay with the budget aspect of it.
Okay, but that was the rationale. I'm just trying to be, okay.
And ultimately, that's a school board decision.
Okay, and at that point, at this point, you didn't have any data, right? There wasn't any additional data to support that, right?
I think you can go back and look at where our fund balance was and where our bad meal debt was, and that'll be plenty of data.
Okay, and so was bad meal debt high before COVID?
I wasn't the director before COVID.
Okay.
I don't have
I
access
expect some
to that,
folks on
so,
here could tell
yeah.
us it probably was.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay. And I just want to be sure, get your position on the record. You're not in favor of reducing the amount, the $2 million, for example, by to help out students, teachers, and staff.
I'm in favor of what my school board passed, which is the position I have tonight.
Okay, but I mean, you're representing the school board right now.
I'm representing what my school board passed, which is the budget before you.
Okay, but does that reflect any analysis on the part of the school board, or was it discussed at any point?
Commissioner Irvin, you have my answer.
Pardon me?
You have my answer.
So you're not going to answer the question, is that fair?
As a director of schools, I'm employed by 7 school board members that passed this budget.
Okay, so you're not going to tell me whether or not it's Okay, whatever. Yeah, from what I'm hearing, I think we ought to send this thing back and help out some students and teachers and other folks.
If I may, the way I'm hearing and reading this, Mr. Chairman, is,
You're recognized.
thank you, for him to change his answer, he would have to call a school board meeting and go back and have them pass a different resolution or budget. And I think that's why he's saying he's answered your question. He can't, that's what he's been directed to do, and that for him to change his answer, am I correct? You would have to go back and call us.
Correct, and I like my job, so I'm not going to go against what my school board has
That's what I-
unanimously passed. Yes.
If that helps something.
It does, and I appreciate that, Trey, our Commissioner. But I just, these are factual type questions, and I was just trying to understand.
Michael, can one of y'all read the actual budget amendment that we're looking at? Just to refresh me, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Okay, so this budget amendment is in the 143 Central Cafeteria Fund, and it increases 99,100,504 indirect cost and decreases 34,570 restricted fund balance in the amount of $2 million to budget for indirect costs that are accumulated in Fund 141 being reimbursed by Fund 143. Indirect costs are incurred for the benefit of multiple programs, functions, or other cost objectives and cannot be readily identified as having been incurred, especially for the school food service program. Indirect cost rates are calculated annually by TDOE and child nutrition programs, and they use the unrestricted indirect cost rate. The FY25-26 unrestricted indirect cost rate for RCS is 11.19%.
Okay, any questions after hearing this amendment? Any further discussion from the committee? Not, I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Chairman P.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. That now takes us to item 3, which is Rutherford County Schools 2026-27 budget review as necessary. First part of that will be the general purpose school fund. I'm going to say the same thing as far as presentation. I don't think we actually need a full presentation after last night, but I do want to open the floor for any questions, or if anyone would like a refresher, they're certainly here to help us with that. You're recognized if you're...
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to refer to a couple of charts from last night. The first one's the 141 revenue versus expense analysis, the 6-year analysis, and it shows, let's see, where is it? That expenditures are exceeding revenues over that 6-year period. Is that correct? Okay. And I'm going to look at the 5-year general purpose school fund, same fund, and the fund balance analysis. And the fund balance initially was increasing, then it started declining. Okay, but it was in a surplus. Okay, but the fund balance percentage is declining. Fund balance percentage is declining. So that means it's shrinking relative to the size of the budget. You agree with that so far?
All right, which graph are you speaking to? So I'll make
Okay,
sure
that was the
I'm following.
5-year, that's the 5-year general purpose school fund balance analysis.
Okay.
Okay, that's the one where the fund balance increased a little bit
Right.
first 1 year, and then started declining, but it's been in a surplus, pretty significant surplus all along. And the fund balance percentage, though, has been declining. That is shrinking relative to the size of the budget, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, so the fund balance is basically your blue line on that graph, correct?
Yes. Okay, so is it, you agree with what I just described, right?
Yeah, it's been shrinking at a moderate, very, very small moderate rate. Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, and you would agree that ADM is declining
Correct?
year over year, is that right? Attendance.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. If ADM continues to drop, do you have a plan to address increasing expenditures at this point?
I think basically what we have done whenever we have seen ADM drop, we address that through salaries and benefits, which would drop your expenditure amount in order to be able to meet the revenues that we are given. Usually when ADM drops, that affects our TISA amount that we receive from the state. So to offset that, we pretty much end up looking at our main cost in Fund 141, which is salary and benefits. So we offset any decrease in TISA by right-siding employees or your salaries and benefits. That's how we usually approach that. Our main, non-salaried expenditures, there's not a lot there that we can decrease in because there's not a lot of, that's only about 15% of our budget. So.
Is there, is there a minimum fund balance policy in place for the schools? I know Michael knows.
There is.
State requirement is, TUE's requirement is 3%. My requirement's 3 months worth of payroll.
Okay, so from a county perspective, your minimum unassigned fund balance would be 3 months of payroll, which is how much?
It's going to be roughly, it'll fluctuate a little bit, 90 or so million, somewhere between 85 and 95 million, give or take the month, but 90 is probably right in there.
Okay, so 90 million, and what's that as a percentage? I think last night it was 13.8. Does that match up with the 3 months payroll?
I'll do it real quick, I'll check.
And while he's doing that, I'll say our expenditures, losing, once the correction, 150 kids in a district of 52,000, with inflation continuing to increase, expenditures will continue to increase as long as inflation is at that percent. I talked about the CPI index yesterday. We still have mandatory raises that have to occur every year. We had this year to get to 50,000 for teachers. We were right below 50,000. There's a minimum salary portion of TISA. That amount of money every year with TISA has to go into salary. And so that's going to continue. And as long as, again, 150 kids aren't going to leave from one building, those buildings are going to have fixed costs. Teachers are going to have fixed costs. As long as we are even staying steady, just like a county will, we're going to continue to increase in expenditures.
Why did it take so long to get to 50,000?
Do what?
Why did it take so long to get to 50,000? Because I recall when we first had a budget, there was a pro forma deficit, and then basically about 28 or so million of it was the schools, and then in came TISA at about $57 million. And so there was a huge additional amount there.
Right.
Why didn't more of that go, and every year after that go towards?
Yeah, 20 million of it did. 28 million got us out of the deficit you were.
Absolutely, I get that part.
Yeah, 20 million of it then went into raises, and an additional 10 to 15 million.
Raises for the teachers?
For everyone. It was an entire district-wide study.
District-wide?
Yep.
Okay.
That was back in.
Did that get you to 50?
23.
How close did that get you to 50?
I believe we got to 47,000 or 46,000 that year. So it's been a strategic thing that we have talked about in this committee multiple times over the last 4 years, getting to 50,000. We did 5%, then it was 2.5%, 2.5%, and 2% this year. But just to reiterate, as long as we are a district comparable to our size, unless we drop thousands of students, if inflation continues to increase, which it will, the cost just of everyday living, our expenses will continue just because of operational costs.
Michael, did you have that percentage?
Yep. So 13, as the budget stands right now, it would be 13.88. 90 million out of their budget right now would be 15%, so that's about a percent difference. However, that does not take into account how we're going to end the fiscal year, and I think we'll probably end the fiscal year $5 to $10 million better, which would put their fund balance right at 14.8 or 14.9. So they'll be right at that 15%, which would be right at the 90.
Is that a written policy that the commission would do?
No, that's a,
Well, ultimately, we would have, I guess, the say in it.
well, the county you have a fund balance policy. You have a fund balance policy for your general fund, which is 15%.
Right.
So that takes a commission vote to change. You have a fund balance policy for the debt service fund. And then we have, the policy is still 3% from TDOE, which the commission has adopted. I have a cash flow issue if we get below 3 months worth of payroll. So legally, y'all are more than welcome to reduce it below that. I just don't know that I can make payroll in August.
No, I'm asking, should we at some point implement a fund balance,
You
a minimum
definitely
fund
could.
balance percentage policy?
You could amend your current one and add that to it for sure, if you wanted to in the future.
Or we could amend, so we amend ours to include the schools.
You could.
Okay. Just a few more questions. How much is the degree stipend going to cost?
Out of this fund, don't y'all,
500,000? Are you talking about for the classified side?
go to the bond?
Yes, the one you have in highlights.
Yes, it's going to be right around 500,000.
Bring it up if you want, but make
Is
sure
that-
that comes out.
Okay.
I'll lead into it.
Yes. We're doing the classified side because, as I said last night, we pay certified side for their degrees, but we do not pay anything for classified degrees at all. So it's a stipend that we're putting on top of
Does anybody else do that? Do any other school systems in Tennessee do that?
I have not researched to see if anybody else does that or not.
Okay. The 60-plus positions, are they currently filled?
Which, the vacant positions?
Well, you highlighted as one of the highlights the 60-plus positions. 60-plus position transferred across the district to cover a new middle school. Are those currently filled positions?
The 60-plus positions, are they? Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Before you go on, if you're, I want to interject something since we were talking about percentages, and of course, you guys are aware that we have set 15% as our threshold as far as the money goes. But I would like to ask our director or finance director here to explain how, well, basically what they've been doing with that money. They've been able to make expenditures that we would have had to go to the bond market for. If y'all don't mind talking about that a little bit, please.
Okay, so if you look on one of those graphs that shows where our fund balance was at one point in time, yes, we did have quite a bit of a fund balance. But over the last 3 years, we have pulled $40 million essentially out of there to fund partial, half of a middle school, or elementary school, and then also for the Lee Road property that we just closed on, and design fees on top of that for the elementary school and the Laverne High School and Poplar Hill Middle. Yeah. So you're looking at $40 million that we have pulled out of fund balance to alleviate some of the expenditures that would have had to come through in a bond market issue or something to that extent. So that's one of the reasons why the fund balance has dropped a little bit, just due to the fact that we have tried to be partners and being able to assist in these buildings and these capital projects that we have put forth.
And that was in partnership with the county commission, was in conversations with budget, with health and ed members, was to, yes, lower the fund balance, but so that we didn't have to go to the bond market to potentially risk the AAA bond rating or any of those different types of things, because we had a healthy fund balance. So to have questions about why is your fund balance so low when it was in partnership is difficult to hear when it was in partnership of why our fund balance is, and I say low, but we're still at 14%, which is much higher than most of the state's fund balance, I would argue. In fact, when we were talking to the Tennessee Department of Education, they were shocked that our fund balance was 14% because it is not supposed to be used as a savings account. And it got legislative attention. I don't think anything is going to happen with it because we talked through it pretty well, but it's not supposed to be used as a savings account, and that has been what it has been used with. And so our fund balance has been used to help the county so that we didn't have to go to the bond market, and that is why you see such a percentage decrease.
I don't know if that helped.
No, I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. Last question, I guess. The medical insurance, this budget has the assumption of how much in it?
It has the assumption of about a 10% accurate amount, but as of last week, whenever the insurance committee at the state passed it, it was about an 8.7% aggregate amount.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Further questions from the committee? You recognize Commissioner Pearson.
It's probably not pertaining to this budget, but you were talking about, you had disclosed on the league property, and I believe you referred to the money for that come out of the account you were discussing. Is that right?
That is correct. A portion of it. I think we did 9.7 million that we pulled out of fund balance for that.
Okay. After watching the school board meeting the other night, it appears that you're going to try to purchase the Dismute farm. And where do you intend for that money to come from?
Great question, and that is something our school board, of course, has entered into a contract for inspection and to purchase. It's not a request at this time for the county commission, and so if it gets to that point, our focus is right now on a new high school. So as soon as we get through with our budget, and of course we have election season right now, our 5-year plan is our next big focus area. The Lee Road property is the last past 5-year plan that we have, so that's still the focus area for me for a high school. But as far as where the funding, if we're going to purchase it, that is a question probably for next year's budget, not this year's budget. So that's still to be determined. We have, in internal conversations, different places that could come. Whether it was fund balance again, whether that was 177, which I would not want to use, but realizing those maybe have to have conversations we have to have, but it is not a request at this time. Again, I may have a new board at that time, so it'll be the will of the board when it comes to what they ultimately decide to do with purchasing the property.
So you haven't bought it yet?
Correct. We have not asked for funding.
Chairman Harris, you're recognized.
So you have roughly close to $90 million in funded balance right now, and you're going to take 15% of a $600 million budget. So what's that, 60-something million, 65 million?
Be about 90.
Yeah. So give me some examples of what you're going to use that in-funded balance for.
What we've been using it for is for, of course, the elementary, the middle schools. Textbooks every 2 years would be what my recommendation would be, is so that we don't have to include every 2 years an extra $10 to $12 million into our budget that just fluctuates the budget every 2 years. And so that would be my recommendation, is that we use some of it every so often to be able to help with projects, whether it's for schools, whether it's for land, and then the other year be able to use it for textbooks.
So if there's some land that you're looking at, which you're always looking for,
Correct.
you would use this to purchase
Parts of it, and then
in-funded balance, correct?
parts of what's been left over from 189 is what we've been able to do lately.
Would you also use your in-funded balance for 177?
If we got to that point to where it was agreeable with the commission, I think that's a great idea to be able to do.
And how much does a chiller cost?
Mr. Lee's not here. No, the last time we looked at it, it was over $500,000 just for, depending on the school size. And that's
We have
been a
52
while.
schools, right?
Correct.
And out of those 52, how old are those schools over 20 years?
How many of them? Well over 25.
25?
Yep. We would have to share pennies if it was out of 141. Correct fund balance, all kinds of different.
Well, I want to clarify something. The 90 million that they'll probably end the year with, that is 15% of their expenditures. And so we really shouldn't use anything below that 90 million. So, and me and Dr. Sullivan have talked, and Brian, so I just want to clarify, I don't want anybody to think we can go down to 50 or 60 million. I have to have that for cash payroll in the months of July and August. So just to reiterate to the committee, we get no state money, which is roughly 36 million a month. You only get that 10 months out of the year. You do not get that in May, and we do not get that in July. So when it gets to July, I don't have any property tax cash, physical cash in the bank, and I don't have any state money to make payroll, so I have to use cash reserves to physically send the ACHs to all 6,000 or 7,000 employees that we pay the school system. So I just want to clarify that with the committee that is the main reason for those reserves, the 3 months of the payroll, is to have cash in the months of July and August, because we don't get property taxes till October 1, and I don't get any state money in July. So while the fund balance on the balance sheet may say 90 million, we may only have 30 or 40 million in cash, and the teacher payroll alone runs about 30 to 35 million a month. And so you can see that's a really tight time frame. Several years ago, before my time here, just to reiterate to the committee, it was under the old BEP formula. It usually comes in on the 20th. That's why our teacher payroll is on the 20th. It came in that morning and went out that night. And that is how we made teacher payroll. And that was several years ago before my time. But that is the main reason for the 3 months worth of payroll, is because when we have 90 million of fund balance, that does not mean we have 90 million in cash. And I'm just reiterating that so nobody's mad at me if we miss payroll in August. I can't state that strongly. We have to say that's how important it is to be able to make that.
Which proves my argument, we need more than $90 million. Would you say correct?
Oh, I would agree. I mean, 90 million to me is the minimum, which is, kind of, as we talk about spending that fund balance down, they've worked with us well on that. But yes, I would prefer a little more than that for sure. 100% I would.
Further discussion or questions from the committee? Commissioner Piercy.
You just made reference, you were going to spend part of that money on books. What percentage books, even do we still use a paperback book, or are we using mostly electronic books?
Vendors have been great, so it's through the Tennessee Book Company. It's one of them that all textbooks go through the State Department, and to purchase the digital or the paper version, you go through both now, and so it's again $180 to $200 a piece, and so they are a combined version together in most places. And so I would love to just purchase a class set. That would save us quite a bit of money. The way that it is currently structured is that we have to give a book to every kid for every subject, and so that's where the financial conundrum comes to.
So is digital cheaper than the actual book?
It's together. The vendors have gotten very good as they noticed that districts probably 5-6 years ago were going to digital and not buying the textbooks. Now the digital price is the same price as your actual book. It's together into one bundle.
Thank you.
Yep. Great point.
Further discussion? Commissioner Irving.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on something Commissioner Piercy said. The capacity for the system is right now at about what?
As far as students,
The total number of seats.
I'd have to go look at my charts for right now.
Yeah, I happen to have page 55 from the most recent study. It shows it about 60 some odd thousand. Does that sound about right?
I think that's high, but
Okay,
think you're-
60,035.
okay.
Okay. And the ADM, most recent ADM was 50,352. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So there's a lot of capacity. So I guess the question is, and ADM is dropping. Okay. Agree with that too?
In 1 year on a 5-year or a multi-20-year trend, yes, sir, I'll give you 1 year.
1 year. Okay.
Well, I'll give you 1
Okay,
year.
I appreciate it. I'm
Yep,
just trying
1
to.
year.
And we still don't have we still don't have answers that I recall
Yep.
hearing to the demographic issues in terms of students, people having fewer kids, and the changes in immigration policy and things along those lines too. Still don't really have that factored in to this study yet. Okay. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, a lot of people are trying to figure out, it's not just me, why are we buying more land and trying to add a lot of capacity when the trend appears to have turned and gone the other way? So it's it's kind of a simple and simplistic analysis. But why is that? Why are we buying more? Why do we even have to build another school, candidly?
I think when you're looking at numbers of a kindergarten seat is equal to a 12th grade seat. A kindergartner is not equal to a 12th grader, so way you may see a seat at John Coleman and I need a seat at Oakland High School, those are incomparable statistics. And
Right, and that's fair, but I happen to, I very much appreciate your providing the
Yep.
ADM numbers.
Yep.
And so I'm kind of going through here looking, and no one's that close to capacity. It doesn't appear that we're that close at this point.
And that was the purpose of our rezoning, was that
capacity.
exact
So-
portion.
You're right, and so might the answer be additional rezoning as opposed to building more schools at this point?
I sure hope not. And so does my school board. We've rezoned the last 3 years, and that's why you haven't had a high school proposal before you yet.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions from the committee? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion on the general purpose school fund. Commissioner Gooch, you recognize.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Some good discussion tonight, and we had quite a bit of discussion last night in our joint meeting. So I think that all the questions have been answered. Move that we approve the general purpose school fund budget as presented.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a second. Commissioner Sereno. Further discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to read, if it's okay for the committee, I want Brian to check me. I'm going to read the numbers so that we can have it in the minutes. So the general purpose school fund, Fund 141, would have revenue preliminarily or estimated at $587,876,547. It would have appropriations of $597,757,055. You agree, Brian?
Yes, that's what I got.
Any further questions? Call roll, please, Justin.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Chairman P.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, let's continue with item B, which is the Central Cafeteria Fund. Questions on the fund, or would you like to hear our finance director, make a quick synopsis of last night's presentation? Any questions in from the committee? Michael, if you would read over the amounts here on this one also.
So for the Central Cafeteria Fund, Fund 143, and Brian, please check me, the amounts I have for revenue are $26,844,250, and in appropriations would be $35,388,150.
That's what I have.
Any questions from our committee on the cafeteria fund? Hearing none, I'll also entertain a motion on the cafeteria fund as presented. Have a motion to accept it and a second. Further discussion on the cafeteria fund. Hearing none, call roll, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Chairman P.
Yes, motion carries. Let's continue with item C, Education Capital Projects Fund. And we were given a list last night. It should be still online. I remember the lady that spoke earlier said for some reason she wasn't able to access part of this budget. I don't know what's going on there. We'll definitely be looking into that so people at home can look on it.
Mr. Chairman, just to answer, I looked on SharePoint, it is still under the Health and Education Committee, the entire proposal, including the 177 list and including the entire presentation is still there. As soon as that's approved tonight for publication, there will be an updated, well, it may take us a day or so, there'll be an updated what's voted on tonight under the last item tonight. We'll go under the proposed budgets, but the reason that this is not under the proposed budgets was because this committee had not voted or taken any action on it. And so, but it is still under the Health and Education Committee, both the 177 project list and the entire 42-page presentation with all the charts and graphs is still out there, including 141, 143, and 177. But for anybody at home, it is under the SharePoint Health and Education Committee, and then there's the documents are right there.
Any comments from the committee on the capital projects fund? No? Commissioner Irby?
Thank you. Okay, so we're talking about 177.
Yes.
And, okay, when I was elected to the commission, got on budgets, big deal was the $156 million that was going to be financed for Oakland, Riverdale, and Smyrna. You recall that? Okay. And so, and we had another $45 million in 177 that was going to be spent on, among other things, HVAC. And each high school was going to be $10 million, $30 million of that 45. Real high priority, we were told. Okay, right? Okay. So has that money been spent? And in other words, has the HVAC money been spent on Oakland, Riverdale, and Smyrna?
I'd have to go look at invoices. I don't know off the top of my head. I know parts of them have been done. I'd have to go, I don't know that off the top of my head. And Mr. Lee is not here tonight, so
Okay, so we don't know.
I don't know that. Not off the top of my head, I don't.
Okay, so
I do remember you and I having this conversation about should we go borrow the money? And I totally, yes, more than once on this floor, should we go borrow the money? But that wasn't what the school board or the commission asked for, so that was not the request.
right, I was just trying to assess. I'm trying to get a little bit more of a little deeper point with respect to the 177 list. Okay, so how much are items 1 through 12? How much would they cost?
As of right now, you're looking,
Only items 1 through 12.
no, that's different. Yeah, I don't have those added up for right now. I don't have those added. If you want to give me a second, I can add them up. I don't have those because that wasn't a request for this year.
Okay.
You did say you had over 25 schools that the air conditioning units were over 20 years.
Right.
So
I
any
was
of
just-
those
oh,
are
yeah, I was just
potential
trying to
problem,
assess.
yeah.
I was just trying to assess. This was a real high priority. At this point, I still don't know if it was done or not.
Yeah. And that's not, I can get that information where that's not the way that this is created. This is created based on you have 19 million, which is always the conversation that we have had with finance and our department is this is what you've had. How can you best utilize the money that you have? But if
That's kind of the ultimate goal, yeah. But, okay, so I guess I don't need 1 through 12. Okay, that's okay. I was just trying to get an assessment so I could get a sense for your 12 highest priorities and how much your 12 highest priorities cost. That's all I was trying to assess. Okay, how did y'all come up with the estimates? Because if it was going to cost $10 million to do, for example, Oakland, okay, and now it costs $10 million to do an elementary school. I mean, that granted it's a few years later. I'm just trying to assess that. How do you come up with your estimates? Because everything seems to be $10 million.
they're estimates until they go out to bid. I mean, they're true estimates based on, like last cast, this would be 9.5. That's going to be an entire building. You see Laverne High at 3 million. That's not an entire building. And so it depends on which portion of the building needs.
So an entire elementary is $10 million.
For that building in particular, because that is the original unit for that entire building. But each building is going to be unique based on what has been replaced, what hasn't been replaced over the life cycle of
So
that.
this sounds like a really kind of general or vague estimate.
It is until it goes out for bid.
Okay, so how far off would you guess the total number is off? Because, I mean, from what I'm hearing, here's kind of the goal. I know that there's a lot of deferred maintenance. We heard last night a speech about how we've got to do something, hairs on fire, whatever, on that kind of thing, metaphorically speaking. And I'm trying to get a sense for how big a priority this is, okay, and kind of the scope so that we could maybe start addressing it at least in a piecemeal fashion, which I'm in favor of. But the problem is, if everything is $10 million, if everything is, we don't know what the 1 through 12 is, for example, then it's kind of hard to come up with kind of a reasonable plan so that we can say, okay, let's tackle this first, this second, this third, this fourth in a realistic way. I mean,
Totally makes sense, yeah.
right now, this is almost useless because, I mean, you're shaking your head yes, I'll just note that for the record. But it's like, I'm trying to get a handle on how can we help with the deferred maintenance specifically, not just say, wring our hands and say, there's a problem. Okay? How can we address that? And one of the things, so I guess one of the questions is, kind of what kind of support do you have for this 177 list, this aggregate estimate? What support do you have?
Right now, I have our project managers and Mr. Lee, our chief operating officer, and then our maintenance staff. But
Okay,
to
so
get
what do they have to support this number?
work with CMTA, who is our biggest vendor with HVAC that we have worked with as a partner.
Okay, so CMTA has this in more detail.
Correct.
Okay.
For some of our facilities, in order to do a much more detailed analysis, then we would need to, I hate to say waste taxpayer money, but if the funding is not there, I do argue that it would be to get all of these.
No, I'm just looking for like 1 through 12 or whatever you think is the highest, highest priorities. I'm really not trying to give you a hard time. I'm trying to help.
No, I
actually.
agree. No, I'm just, that would.
So if we can figure out a way to prioritize, to come up with some realistic numbers, okay, then we can say, okay, we'll do items 1 through 3 this year, plus a bunch of small ones. And then we'll do items 4 through 6 the following year, okay, with some other stuff. Do you see what I'm trying to
Yes,
get at? Because
when we publish, and you're spot on, when we publish our agenda tomorrow for our board meeting, you're going to see a presentation that covers the next 5 years that addresses some of this. But that was us funding it ourselves, because that has always been our belief is we have 19 million, figure out how to fund it. And so that is kind of what we're trying to do, is to figure out how to fund it ourselves.
But it sounds like, with respect, your $19 million isn't a very tight number. Okay, the 19 million that's in 177.
Yeah.
That is a tight number. Sorry, but your items in your 177 list are not a tight number, and it would be great so that we can help. Okay, come up with kind of a realistic approach to this, and address some of the deferred maintenance. If y'all could drill down more, and say, yes, we do have to replace this HVAC. We've got 3 bids on it, or however many, our guys have done, or gals have done this work, and this is the number, and so this is what we want to do. But, to come in with a number, it's a head scratcher when you're talking about this vague, and that's what it is, and I'm seeing, and I think you're agreeing with me.
Yeah.
When you have this vague a list that, some of the items may or may not have that were high priorities that got changed their mind. Okay, maybe there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but I'm trying to figure out, okay, can we get a little more data on it so that we can help?
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I haven't heard that. Have you got any suggestions? We're here to help.
Sure. I would love to hear the standards they're using.
Well, reason I say that is years ago when Dr. Bullen was here, he had proposed that this, basically why we started this, because we were having roofs that were leaking, we were having HVAC systems that were crashing in the middle of our budget season. We had none of that out there, and we were always in a bind. You know, every other month seemed like there was a problem, so we set aside a nickel, I think it originally, just for these capital projects, and that's basically where this fund has grown from. And when I say that, you know, to me, yes, we know how all these systems are, but you don't know which one's going to fail, which one's not, and when it's going to happen. So, I mean, I can see their dilemma there, but as far as what are we going to do to help them out, I'm all ears, so.
No, it's fairly, if I were in your shoes, I would do a deeper dive, candidly. I would establish some standards, I would start sorting it out, because some of them are going to be in really bad shape, and some are going to be in not so bad shape. And you can start basically doing a triage or a priorities, and then from there come up with kind of a realistic estimate. I doubt all of these are deteriorating at the same rate.
The ones that are in yellow are in really bad shape.
Okay, so if that's the case, then that's what you need to bring to us. And these are in really bad shape. We may not be able to fund all of them, candidly, because the money may not be there. But we can fund one or two or three of them. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, so we fund one or two or three of them plus some little stuff. And that way we try to assess this and bring some standards to it. Because right now, this to me isn't terribly helpful, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I mean, it's just not.
Appreciate it.
I mean, if it, you know, you don't want to get too far along in terms of a wish list, okay? But if you come up with some reasonable standards, reasonable guides, okay, keeping in mind how much money you got, okay, because we're not an endless fount of money, all right, then you basically can kind of triage it. Then it becomes a very convincing case. Otherwise, we got nothing, basically, other than a really vague list that's not helpful.
Yeah. Appreciate it. I think we'll have some of that on next week, but I agree. Great feedback. Thank you.
Further questions from the committee? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on our Educational Capital Projects Fund. That's 177, and as I said, you've got that list.
The revenue and expense equals, they're both $19,354,969. I will also add something I should have added on 141, but I'll also add on this fund, just as a reminder. As soon as we get the certified tax rate, we'll come back and revise that revenue. But specifically on this fund, the expenditures and revenue will match, so they will be revised up or down a tad once we get that in. But for right now, it'd be $19,354,969.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion and a second on the Capital Projects Fund. Further discussion? Hearing none, call roll.
Question.
Excuse me. Do I hear someone?
Yes, I'm hid over here.
Somebody's always standing between you and I here somehow or other.
Well, I'm small anyway. I know you're going to get tired of me asking you this question, but I have more questions about this issue. There is nothing in this 19 million going toward the Dismute Farm.
Correct. Nothing going towards it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Further questions? I have a motion, I have a second.
I want to add something to that. If something ever wanted, because there's only one line for maintenance and repair, if they wanted to purchase any land out of here, they have to come back to this committee. Just to give reassurance to anybody, they would have to come back to this committee.
Can I ask a clarification?
Yes, go ahead.
This is for repair and capital improvements, both, or is this only for capital improvements? Capital type
So it's
items?
capital maintenance improvements, like a chiller, a roof, something like that. So the way, we don't name the category, the account number, that's set by the State Comptroller's Office. I'm just letting the committee know, to Commissioner Piercy's question, it would have to be in a land category, and that is not a part of this budget. So it would have to come back through the committee process over here for them to even be able to purchase it, even based on an accounting basis. But right now, they can only spend this money for that one line item.
So resurfacing,
It,
is that a,
they can't patch one pothole, but they could go in and redo an entire parking lot, which is what they do. But it's made for large capital, either maintenance, repairs, improvements, put the adjective in there that you want to call it, but it's for larger projects, resurfacing an entire parking lot, entire HVAC, but you can't go in there and just do like filters in one school or one pothole.
We're not going to do painting or any of that type of stuff out of it. We're very specific on what, and we give principals what you can and can't do. That has to come out of your maintenance funding.
If they want to repair like one pothole or one parking spot, that has to come out on 141.
Further questions? Call roll, Justin.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Chairman P.
Yes, motion carries. Guys, we appreciate it. Anything parting words?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all. I know this is always a fun process through budget, and it's a whole lot of work, and I appreciate our school board, but appreciate you all and your partnership and trusting us as well. We've done a whole lot of work together the last 4 years, and I look forward to working with many of you again in the future. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, guys. Okay, at this time, we'll go to item 4, discuss Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce funding. And Michael, I noticed we've got Paul here. I'm going to invite him up.
While Paul's coming up, we had a request from the committee, and I'll just reiterate this. For the next 2 items, I emailed those to the committee. If you did not get a copy, please let me know. And I can try to run and go print one, and we'll, but those, for the chamber, we emailed their application, and then I emailed the next one, which should be the Salvation Army. They did email us, and I forwarded that email to the committee.
Paul, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate that. Thank you for allowing me to come today. And let me, before I get into some of my comments, I want to thank the commission and the Budget Committee over this last for a long time for the support that you guys give the Chamber and the Convention and Visitors Bureau and Detnetion Rutherford for the things that you guys do to allow us to be competitive in the marketplace, to recruit jobs, to recruit tourists, and to continue to have an upward trajectory on economic development and economic impact. And so, again, I'm here today to our request is 3 things. One is the tourism budget, which you know is a request of 15% of the hotel motel tax from the county. The second request is Detnetion Rutherford, which is $135,000, which is our strategic 5-year economic and workforce development program that we deploy every year. And then finally, what's called the Economic Development Fund, which is $96,000 from that standpoint. But if I could, just to put some things in context, I know after hearing from some of you and talking, the tourism piece, number one, if I could address that first, is I think in 2016, Mr. Chairman, I think we changed, the county changed the percentage of what the chamber used to get, which was 30%, and reduced us to a 15% number. But at the same time, in 2016, by resolution, you guys increased the hotel motel tax to its maximum ceiling that's allowed by state law, and then therefore we were not harmed by that. We still get 15%, but we also got the increase in the tax there. So just provide some context from that standpoint. So that's why we're at the 15% mark. Tourism numbers have increased almost every year. Obviously, when the COVID years hit, it was very tough because no one traveled, nobody did anything, and so but really starting from 20 to 21, we've seen increased numbers in our visitors. We are very involved in investing the money that you provide us, as well as the other municipalities, to invest that money back into tourism marketing efforts to make sure that everyone knows that tourism is alive and well. A lot of things we spend the money on. I know that's a big question. Obviously, one of the biggest marketing things, or the biggest things we spend it on is not only overhead, but the biggest key thing there is the marketing part of it. We send our staff out every year to probably 10 or 20 different trade shows where meeting planners are there, and they have 40 or 50 appointments at each one of these shows that come back, and whether it's group tours, whether it's conventions or anything we're trying to do to get folks to come to Rutherford County, spend their money, and then go home, has been very beneficial and continues to rise to increase that. We also have a lot of events in our county, which a lot of folks don't realize that from time to time, if not actually almost all the time, there are bid fees associated with this. So you actually have to pay money. The countywide spring fling, for example, is, we used to, it's gone down a little bit, but we had a bid fee of $350,000 to get a $3.5 million economic impact for the county. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes as it relates to tourism. Tourism, as I say, is probably some of the cleanest money you can do to get because it also increases property tax collections from new hotels coming in. We've added we're up to almost 6,200 rooms in our county now, and Smyrna, being the chief one amongst the one community, probably has the most increase in hotels, and so that's an economic impact there that is second to none. We are number 7 in the state of Tennessee, which I'm proud of. About 5 years ago, we were number 10 in the state of Tennessee for economic impact, and these are numbers that are put out by the Department of Tourism. And so we are, and I think that's something that should be really looked at, because we don't have necessarily a signature event or a signature location like Graceland, or if you see like Dollywood or the Smoky Mountains. So I think we've done a really fine job, in my estimation, for these, and we really have grown it through sports marketing, through business travel, through arts and cultural heritage tourism, which is growing day by day. So we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to do the investment from that standpoint. Do we want to take the tourism first, or do we want to?
Let's, Michael, if you got them in order, tourism is fine. So.
Okay.
Really, we can, we were asked, we had this as part of the mayor's proposal and as part of the budget. So if you take no action tonight to change anything on those categories that night, because they're combined with other things, if you take no action tonight, it'll go to publication from the amounts that Paul did read. Those are what's in the budget. Those were correct. So if you take no action tonight, that's what's going to publication. So there is no action required tonight, but if you wish to make a motion to change anything, you can change any of the 3 or 1. It's up to the committee, but there's no action required to take those. They are a part of other items in the budget that we preliminarily approved, and then this item was asked to be part of the agenda tonight. So tonight there's no action required, but you obviously can take any action you want through a motion tonight.
There was some discussion at our last meeting when we were looking at the nonprofits and these groups about the funding, especially related to the hotel motel tax. So any discussion from the committee, any suggestions on, and like I said, this is what's in front of you. It's in your book, is what was approved the other day, but like I said, there was some discussion about possible changes, and at this time, if there are possible changes you'd like to make, it's time to speak up. Mr. Harris,
What does the chamber have in its in-funding balance?
So we're broken out in different departments. So the Convention and Visitors Bureau has accumulated around $5.3 million, and that has grown. We did have a fund balance of around $2.5 million. COVID hit. We had to take money out of our fund balance for that. One of the things that really, of course, everything has overachieved as it relates to the performance of our 15%, and as well as the hotel motel tax as well. So we've done well there. A little bit of why you see that fund balance the way it is, and we're working on ways to spend it down. I have several ideas in mind coming up in the near future. But we did receive, because of COVID, probably $1 million, $1.1 million, $1.2 million in ARPA money that was directed toward the State Department of Tourism, and they doled it out based on applications from that. So we were able to use that directly for marketing. They call them DMOs, direct marketing organizations, which we are one, and that we were able to save on the overhead, cover the overhead part of that. And so that's why you see a little bit of the fund balance there.
So what percentage of your budget is Rutherford County? Is it 100% of your budget? Are you getting money from the state and all that?
We receive a little bit from the state through advertising grants, but the two biggest contributors to the hotel motel tax is the city of Murfreesboro as well as the county.
Further questions for Mr. Latour? You're recognized,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I
Commissioner.
don't have any questions right now, but I do have some thoughts and some changes, but I want the director to finish his presentation and comments before that.
Okay, thank you. I'll cover the other two very quickly. Destination Rutherford, as you all have been aware, those have been around for a while. This is a program that we initiated about, it even predates me getting here. I've been here almost 17 years. But it was an idea that came together from the private sector as well as the public sector to create a strategic plan to move Rutherford County forward. And I think the impetus of that initial plan was to look at our peer counties and what was Rutherford County doing to be competitive in economic development, frankly. Are we recruiting? Why are we losing jobs? Why are we not getting the jobs that we want? And what are we doing to make sure that we're well funded enough to be able to go and meet with companies to make decisions to come and locate in Rutherford County. So we're in our fifth version of that, Destination 5.0. So we're in the third year of a 5-year cycle, and we really are focusing on three things in particular. Number one, we're focused on workforce and education. We work closely with our school partners on making sure that we have students coming out of our school system who are aware of the educational tracks and what that educational track what jobs are available that the education tracks will allow them to do and achieve a skill set moving forward as they move on down the line. We've encouraged certifications, welding certificates, trades. We've had very good success. We graduate every year about 80 young people who are seniors in high school with a CNA. They're coming out of school already in high school with a nursing certificate. So that's a great step forward in really preparing the workforce, along with educating we go to every single 8th grade classroom in the county and talk about career exploration. What do you want to do when you grow up? Here are the opportunities that are available. You can do all this in Rutherford County. You can go get your post-secondary education here in Rutherford County. If you want to go to TCAT, you want to go to Motlow, and then also to MTSU. So we try to identify those pathways, try to communicate that with the parents, and to make sure that these top high-demand, high-wage jobs here for that, along with the Mechatronics program in manufacturing. So we're very key on that. The second piece of the second leg of the Destination Rutherford is to take a more active role in being an advocate for different public policy opportunities as it relates to infrastructure, as it relates to how do we address these things, especially on the state, federal level, of identifying opportunities to enhance our infrastructure here. So that also includes utilities, it also includes roads and different things to make sure we also have a seat at the table when we're having these regional transportation discussions as we move forward as a region. And then lastly, which is usually always number one, is job growth. So when we developed this plan, the labor market was about unemployment rate is about 1.2%. It's about 2.7, 2.8% right now, so it's still low. But we have the ability we want to go out and try to recruit jobs to our county that are going to pay 125% above the county average wage. And so we've made a different focus on, instead of just going out and getting 1,000 jobs that really aren't going to help. It will hurt the marketplace as it relates to workforce than anything. So we're really focused on that. And then finally, the Economic Development Fund, which you guys have participated in for every year, that predates me as well. But I do know the impetus of it is that when in 2003, when the state of Tennessee passed Chapter 1101, which encouraged, or actually it made all counties and cities come together with an economic development plan. At the time, the county as well as other cities also contribute to this fund to enhance economic development as well. So that's kind of the history of that. So happy to answer any more questions or go into more detail if anyone wants to discuss it.
Commissioner Piercy.
I'm not able to read your budget that was emailed to me. Can you recall what the county funded you last year in amount?
So The request that we made for Destination Rutherford was $135,000. You guys did that one. You did the $96,000. And off the top of my head, Michael, you may know.
It's last year for hotel motel tax.
8.4.
It was 893,000 was, there's a timing difference of when we get it because hotel motel tax is 2 months behind. But roughly over the last 3 years, it's been approximately 900,000 a year, give or take.
And we understand that that's a performance-based deal, so if we don't help get more tourism here, that number could go down, and we understand the perils of that.
Did you expire that amount?
Sir?
Did you spend that amount?
Yes, sir.
All of it?
Yeah. We had a $1.1 million, I'm sorry. Yes, we did. We try to zero that budget out at the end of the year.
So help me understand where your ending fund balance come from.
Well, again, it's, I told you about the federal money, got that. This is money that we had that again, predates me. We had some money left over from different things that we just had a surplus, and we do, try to reinvest that money. We need to add staff. We have that ability to do that, so that's where that money is continues to stay.
And I'm taking for granted you've got that money working for you in the bank, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Further questions from the committee? Hearing none, do I hear a motion for any changes or?
If you this presentation, thank you very much. I appreciate what the chamber does, and you can look on the back page, and I've always learned that tax savings to Rutherford County citizens equals about $614 because of tourism, and I think that's awesome. But our dollars are in competition. As you may know, our planning department, planning commission is doing a traffic infrastructure study in the unincorporated areas, working with the city of Murfreesboro, Smyrna, and Laverne, along with Eagleville. And I think that plan is due to be completed around November. It's a 9-month study. And we don't have a budget for any of our road improvements or road buildings. And so in an effort to still help fund much of the contributions that we give to the chamber and to help fund our road infrastructures, and I know tourists expect infrastructure, my plan would be to keep Destination Rutherford at $135,000, economic development at $96,500. There's a total contribution when we add in tourism. I think you mentioned $1.1 million, and it's roughly about that. But to set a fixed contribution for tourism of $400,000 to earmark the savings for infrastructure funding in a fund in our general fund. I'm going to put that in the form of a motion. If I can get a second, I'm sure we'll have some discussion on it.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second. Michael, would you basically state what this motion would do compared to what it is right now?
Give me 1 second. I'm making sure I got everything. Was your motion did I hear you right, 400,000?
Well, yes, sir. Destination Rutherford the same, economic development the same, the tourism fund 400,000, with the remainder of that 15%. And we may have to go to a different motion to set that fund up, but to be earmarked toward infrastructure, particularly roads.
Okay, so I'm gonna repeat this for the committee just to make sure we've got it up here for the minutes, and then I'm gonna put some account numbers in there. So the motion would be to change the resolution from 2016 from a rate of 15% to a fixed rate of $400,000 to give to the chamber out of hotel motel tax, and that savings to be earmarked for capital infrastructure needs in a fund to be determined. And I will go ahead for the committee. Is that your motion?
Yes, that's correct.
And then to add that for the committee, right now, we have budgeted about 840,000. I think that's what Paul was referring to earlier. We're always conservative on the budget. So that would budget-wise for us, that would be a difference of about 440,000. Obviously, hotel motel tax, we were conservative budgeting, so that would earmark somewhere in the neighborhood of 440,000 budgetary-wise for the capital infrastructure.
I want to ask one quick question on that. You specifically mentioned roads, and what he just read off was basic capital improvements. Do you want to change that to roads, or just leave it capital improvements?
Michael, help me out on, Mr. Smith, help me out on this. So my intentions is for road building and road improvements. That will come from requests from the Planning Commission or as a result of development in the rural areas. And so, but yes, my intention is for a road fund, but infrastructure.
Related to roads, right?
Related to roads.
Okay.
Yes. And I mean, for example, if at some point Christiana needs a red light or Gitchell needs something associated with transportation.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Mayor Carr, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a process question I hope you can answer, or maybe Mr. Smith. There was reference earlier in the discussion about a private act and also a resolution. To the extent that we make any changes tonight, can that be done with a resolution, or is a private act required? Michael, thank you.
So every year we try to be prepared about, we didn't know this was coming, but every year we try to be prepared about all the different revenues we've got, of which is this one is set by private act. And Paul is correct. I do have that resolution here. When I put this on the agenda for tonight, I pulled this resolution. It is from 2016, so you're correct on that. It would have to go in the form of a resolution. I did check with the county attorney. It is because we are grandfathered in, our private act was in place before the state law changed. And so this resolution, I will read it to you if you would like, but it says, whereas the steering legislative and governmental committees recommends that the hotel motel tax be increased from 2.5% to 5% and be distributed as 15% of revenue to the Chamber of Commerce, 5% to the Greenway, and 80% to other county purposes. And that's important because our private act allows for other county purposes. And so this would shift to that from a percentage to a fixed amount, and would shift the other piece to the other county purpose, which would be us designating the other county purpose as roadway and related infrastructure roadway improvements, being a road, sidewalk, red light, something like that. It's a long answer to your question. It can be done by resolution.
So the private act allows us to amend this by resolution?
That is correct.
Essentially what I'm asking.
That is what, but I want to clarify something. This is different than the normal budget process. So what will happen is if this motion were to pass, or an amended portion of this motion passes, it will go to commission on June 11th.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
As a resolution.
Chairman Harris.
My question is to Commissioner Gooch. How you're setting this up, is the county commission going to have the authority on this fund, or you're giving these funds over to the road board?
Okay, thank you for that question. Good question. No, it would be a separate fund in the general fund. It would not be in the road department's budget. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, because we don't control their budget.
No, it would be in a separate capital type fund within the general fund.
Further discussion. So we have a motion. Now, Justin, we have a motion and second on this. And if you would, just for clarity for myself, please repeat that for me, either Michael or Justin, exactly what we'd be voting on. And if it passes, what we have to do further.
So the way I understand the motion, and please correct me, Commissioner Gooch, and I believe our second was Commissioner Harris, this motion would change from a percentage base to a flat base of $400,000 of hotel motel tax allocated to the chamber. The difference of what we currently have budgeted for the chamber versus this 400,000 would be earmarked for road and related road improvements, but not limited to red lights, sidewalks, roads. Particularly, I believe you said in the rural area of the county, which we don't do cities, so it's by default that. And that would be earmarked in the general fund for now.
Okay, further discussion. Hearing none, call roll, please, Justin.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Chairman P.
Yes. So this will be addressed at what time with the
So-
commission?
I think we have two options, but the most appropriate time, I believe, would be June 11th at the commission meeting. I'm looking at Chairman Phillips. The reason I would recommend that is you could push this to the 22nd, but if it were to fail at the commission level, then we would want to revisit this before we vote on the budget on June 22nd. I will get the county attorney to more eloquently write the resolution than I just stated. But my understanding is this would go to the June 11th commission meeting in two weeks.
And would that resolution originate in steering or budget, or where would that?
Well, it's originating in budget right now.
Okay.
So it would have the option, if y'all would like this, to go to steering. It can. I don't know if it's not required, but it definitely can if y'all want it to. But ultimately, it has to make its way to the commission on June 11th. But you're more than welcome to send it to steering. There's no requirement, but there's no reason it shouldn't either.
I'm on.
Well, steering meets next Monday, so I can put it on the agenda.
Okay, and then it would come back to the budget meeting.
Well,
Right, on Thursday?
Well, since we've already done this tonight, there's no need for it to come back and take the same vote twice unless y'all just want to. Since budget has met tonight,
Okay.
I mean, I can add it to the 4th if you want, but typically, as we've done in prior years, if it leaves here tonight, budget's going ahead and sending it either to steering or to the full commission.
Just to interject something, unless steering makes some changes, I would prefer that it go directly to, since we've already voted on it, go directly to the full commission with Chairman Phillips' approval of that being added to the, his agenda. So I hear otherwise from you guys. So that's the plan, we'll take it.
I don't see why we got to go through steering if we're already through budget. So, I mean, all we're doing is sending it back to budget. So we might as well just send it straight to the commission.
Is that okay with the committee? I don't see anybody saying no.
Do we have a resolution for it yet? I know you said that Nick was going to.
We will, so how it works every month, everything that comes out of budget, Justin does such a great job here, writes all of our resolutions that come out of budget.
Oh, he does.
But in this case, typically if it involves something like this, we'll work with the county attorney, Nick, and he will help facilitate us writing a resolution, of which we'll typically get with Chairman Phillips and see where he wants it placed on the agenda. And then that'll be uploaded to SharePoint for, it's usually as quick as we can get it on SharePoint.
Sounds good, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, our next item, and I want to mention a couple of things before we start this, will be item 5, discuss the Salvation Army funding. Behind that, item 6 is to discuss the Recreation Board funding. However, if you notice, item 7 is a review. Any other changes to this sheet with our local donations, I want to save all those for item 7. So on these, the next two items, first, item 5, we'll discuss the Salvation Army funding. And let's see, I have somebody that wants to come and speak. I know we have a member of the Army here. If you would, you can come forward. There are probably going to be some questions, but.
Mr. Chairman, while the Salvation Army is coming forward, Michael, Commissioner Gooch, the money that we've kind of earmarked for infrastructure improvements. The development community has been putting together some funding for some major intersections, and if the county chose to participate in those interchange infrastructure improvements, that's what that money could be used for, correct?
Yes, and to reiterate Commissioner Gooch's motion, and just typically, that would be something that would be in the unincorporated areas, right? Very similar to when we partnered with TDOT on the I-24 interchange at Epps Mill, that they're currently accruing easements and things like that between us and Manchester Highway.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah, you're recognized.
Chairman
Go ahead.
Phillips. So would this motion that just passed in the form that's going to be memorialized in the form of a resolution, is that going to be in the form of a percentage that's going to be allocated out of the hotel motel tax, or is that a flat amount that's going to be redistributed? You see my question? So going forward, is this a one-time this year only, or is this going to be a renewable thing out of that motel hotel tax? That's my question.
It's a renewable thing year after year, and I'm not sure.
Reoccurring.
Yes.
Thank you.
The example is like 840 and Amelville Road, that interchange, that some of the development in that area have been contributing toward the improvements on that intersection. If the county wanted to be a partner in that, that's what this could be earmarked for. And I think that's exactly the partnership that we've been looking for as it relates to coming together with the development community. So I think it's an absolute positive step in the right direction.
So, because right now, the way the resolution was worded, we had $840,000 budgeted for the chamber. Now, I will say, like I said earlier, that was conservative. We will highly likely get more than that, barring another COVID or something like that. But with that said, is the resolution or the motion, as the way I understood it, put $400,000 at the chamber. The difference in the 840 and the 400 is 440. So I will move in the budget for a flat 440,000 over to earmark that, which is reoccurring money. And the way I envision this, and I'll come up with an account number hopefully by the end of tonight. The way I envision this is that 440, if we don't spend it this year, we will commit that in a reserve in the general fund that we could pull from. So it could be that if we don't do a project this year, we put 440. It also could be that next year you decide you want to do $1 million project and we find another pot to put with this 440 earmarked. And so, but if you don't spend it, I think is the way I understood it, that will accrue and it'll be in a committed fund balance in the general fund.
But to be sure, this is a reoccurring amount every year as part. Okay.
And then every year this committee could increase that or decrease that as part of the budget process or as part of the need. But yes, it is reoccurring and is the way I understood the motion.
Can this fund also, can we also contribute to this fund without just what we just did on the chamber? Like if this board, if this budget committee wanted to add $200,000 to it, we could do that during the budget process?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? If not, we're going to move into our Salvation Army funding discussion. And some of y'all, of course, heard his request the other night. Commissioner Gooch, you want to start us off? And
Yes, thank you. So I did request and was delivered the budget from the Salvation Army. And just, do you have a copy? Did you bring a copy?
I sure do.
Okay. So as far as, and we'll just be brief, we're on your expenses. Can you demonstrate the line items where funds are going directly to Rutherford County citizens as far as assistance, whether that may be, housing, food, clothing, or direct aid?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if everybody has a copy of this. But
I emailed, what you emailed us, I've emailed that budget copy to everybody in the committee.
oh, great, thank you. But if you look at, coming down here, starting at 8103, education, recreation, craft supplies, that goes with our youth programs. We have a music program as well. The food and beverages, laundry, housekeeping, all of that it's not like direct assistance, but it runs our shelter. Yeah, that's what I mean. 8110, kitchen and dining room supplies. Every evening at 5 o'clock, we serve a community meal. I think we serve around 150 meals a week out the back and inside our shelter. So I'm just running through my line items here. Of course, we have our overhead items.
The one I noticed, 8701, local meals.
Local meals, yes. So that line item, so every couple of months, every 3 months, we have what we call Red Shield Dialogues. I'd encourage anybody to be here. I think Commissioner Rommel comes to those as well. But those, we usually serve a meal with that. So that's that, and then like our annual fundraising meals. So that's where that is. That's not direct assistance to individuals. Specific assistance to individuals, you'll see 8906. And that's been zero, and that is, that might not be what I'm talking about, but that has to do with rent and utilities assistance that we haven't been able to do. Sorry, let me back up. So we were able to get THDA funding. I think we had $250,000 in the years of 2023, 2024. We were able to get rid of, that was just pass-through money from the state. We were able to do utility and rent assistance. That's something that I would really like to see us do again.
Well, if I can interrupt you, so.
No, you're good.
177,000 you spent on that, or Salvation Army spent on that in 2025. Was there something unusual?
8917, specific assistance.
06.
06. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's specific assistance to individuals. That's rent, utilities that we help people with. You know, they're late on their rent payment, or you know, they lost their job.
But you don't have funding for that right now?
We don't have funding for it right now, no.
Okay. One more. Okay, and like 8917.
Mm-hmm.
Could you describe that fund?
So that's disaster services, and that's gift in kind. So that's a wash. So whatever we get in gift in kind, we enter it on our expenses, and then we enter it on our income as well. So it's marked, should be marked both places. Yeah, if you look at on the expense, the income side, it's 46. Where'd it go? I'm sorry. Yeah, 4050, that gift in kind. That's where those numbers
okay,
come in and out. Yeah. And that's also our angel tree. All of our angel tree gifts that come in, we served almost 1,500 kids and seniors with Christmas this year, with Christmas gifts, and that number also goes there.
One more question. What intentions would you, or do you know right now what intentions you would have with this, any possible contribution as far as where that may go?
Yes, it'll go towards our shelter. One shortfall we've had in this upcoming year that we will have is the state reduced the ESG funding, the Emergency Solutions Grant, which typically we get $125,000. But they are cutting that. We usually get that through the city set aside. The city of Murfreesboro gives that to us from the THDA. And we're not getting that in this upcoming fiscal year, which is why the ask was so incredibly high. And I apologize for that. I asked for what we need, and we're happy with the consideration as well.
And I don't think we can go that high this year, but I would make, unless there's any more discussion, I'll make a motion, if you would, to fund the Salvation Army $25,000.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I hear a second? I have a second. Further discussion from the committee? Hearing none, call roll, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin? Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy? Chairman P?
Yes, motion carries. Congratulations.
All right. Thank you so much for your investment. It means an awful lot to me and to this community, so thank you.
Okay, our next item, item 6, is to discuss the recreational board funding. I'm going to call on Mayor Carr, if that's appropriate, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman P. I believe this is the item that was inadvertently left off the last meeting. Am I correct about? So as a result of Plan Rutherford, I felt like it was important after discussion with some of these rural areas that we try to support the community centers, some of the ongoing operational costs with a stipend, literally a stipend. And so my recommendation that didn't get put into the original list, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter, was $2,500 for Las Casas Community Center, $2,500 for the Kittrell, Milton, and Rockvale. And so that would be $10,000, $2,500 each to assist those community centers. And I'll be glad to take questions on that if the committee has any.
Can you repeat those four for me?
Certainly. Milton, Las Casas, Kittrell, and Rockvale.
And those are all established community.
That's correct,
groups,
with established
right?
501c3s.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I had seen no problem with this, and I'll make a motion to do.
Okay, I have a motion to approve and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, call roll. Oh, excuse me.
I just want to clarify,
Please.
and sorry I've got to do
No,
this.
that's fine. We're good.
We want to, this $10,000 is going to go to the 501c3 organizations, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was that okay with the?
And Michael, just for clarification's sake, I know we have a process in finance that an application has to be submitted before funding. So to the extent that that's not been done, I think it has, but if it hadn't, let me know, and I will make sure we get those applications, because that's important.
Yeah, and I'll clarify for the committee, anytime we give money to any 501c3, there's a requirement, and it's not our requirement, it's the state's, it's a TCA that requires them to submit certain documents to us. We'll typically work with those groups. The only ones that are not required are like the city of Murfreesboro, if we have certain agreements with them. But any 501c3, so we work with them. We'll hold their money until they have budgets and audits and things they have to submit to us, and so we'll work with them. I just needed to clarify because we also give money to some of these community centers that are not necessarily to the 501c3s. We may do something with a ball field or something through our Parks and Fair Board. So that's why I just want to clarify. This money will go directly to those 501c3s.
That's correct.
Further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin? Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy? Chairman P?
Yes. Motion carries. This brings us to item 7, which we're going to review, and this is a chance to, if there's any more additions to the local contributions we'd like to make, for instance, or any other changes in the budget that we may have discussed or not discussed, that's open for now. So, Chairman Harris.
Yes, sir. I got 3 that I'd like to discuss. My first one is the Senior Activity Center with Smyrna. They requested $35,000 for a capital project, and I'd like to approve that amount.
I have a motion to approve $35,000 for capital projects for the Smyrna Senior Center. Is that correct?
Yes.
Second.
And I hear a second. Discussion. Okay, 2 seconds. Any further discussion from the committee?
What's it for?
This is
Building a new building. They've outgrown the other one, and they're requesting this amount, and I'd like to see them to get that.
further discussion. Would you like to speak? We have a representative there. Since we were discussing this in particular, please come forward. She'll be able to answer any questions you may have out there.
I would love to answer questions. My name is Fran Dunn. I'm the executive director at the Senior Activity Center of Smyrna. First, I want to thank the commission for all the support we have received over the past 50 years, starting with the donation of the 1.5 acres of land that our current building sits on, your support for our operating budget, and your investment in our capital campaign. Over the past 2 years, we have received $25,000 from the county, and the investment has moved us significantly closer to making our new facility a reality. I did submit a request this year for $35,000. At the time the application was submitted, we had raised about $3.1 million and had pending request of $2.9 million with the Christy Houston Foundation and another $500,000 with the Heart of Rutherford Foundation. I'm excited to share that the Christy Houston Foundation has committed $1.2 million to our campaign, but we're still awaiting a decision from the Heart of Rutherford. So to date, we have raised $4.4 million. Our plan is to break ground this September on our new 15,000 square foot facility on the nearly 6 acres of land donated to us by the town of Smyrna. But our fundraising efforts must continue to make the vision possible. We do anticipate securing a construction loan, but we hope to minimize the amount we need to borrow by continuing to build support through fundraising and community partnerships. As the Senior Activity Center celebrates its 55th anniversary this year, we're proudly embracing the theme, honoring our past, celebrating our future, 55 years strong. For more than half a century, the center has served as a place for connection, support, wellness, and opportunity for older adults in the community. This appropriation would not only honor the strong foundation built over 55 years ago, but also would help us continue expanding programs, services, and resources that will carry us confidently into the future. With your support, we can build on this milestone celebration and ensure that the Senior Activity Center remains a vibrant and welcoming resource for generations to come. I would be most grateful for your consideration of this request and of your ongoing commitment to the seniors of Rutherford County. Please know that your support is deeply appreciated by our board, staff, volunteers, but especially the seniors that we serve every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the director? Commissioner?
Just, excuse me, a comment. I know on the seniors activity center, I wouldn't qualify because of my young age. But it's
I should have brought you an
It's
application.
my understanding that Commissioner Anthony Johnson is one of your senior members. Would that be correct?
That would be correct.
And when I get to a certain age, a decade from now, maybe then I would qualify.
I make exceptions for a lot of people who feel that way
Let me know.
to join.
Let me know when you eat.
Any further questions? Mayor, you're recognized.
Fran, thank you for that. I have one. When do you expect the capital campaign to conclude? Do you have an anticipate, because you're talking about breaking ground in September.
Yes.
But you're going to continue to raise money beyond that, I guess, to pay off the loan. So can you kind of
Yes,
into the weeds?
we actually have a benefactor who has said to us, raise as much money as you can, and then come to us after you have the final budget per the construction drawings, and I will make sure you do not fail. So I anticipate it will happen soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we do have a motion, we do have a second. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Chairman P.
Yes. Chairman Harris, you said you had 3 items. Yeah, you ready for your second one?
My next one is Child Museum Corp. of Rutherford County. They requested $22,500. The mayor graciously did that. It's in a meeting last night. This area is in a, I got to choose my words here silently. I think a highly security area that we need to help them with, and they have some $3,500 short on security, and I want to add that to their amount. So it'd be $3,500, and that'll be applied towards security guard and help them with that, so.
And that's on
I'm
the
sorry,
back.
I misheard. Who is it? I'm sorry.
It's
The Discovery Center.
In your
You
book,
got it listed here as Child Museum Corp. of Rutherford County.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I hear a second? And a second to add to the Children's Museum Corporation of Rutherford County, which is the Discovery Center. And what was the amount we were adding, Michael?
you said $3,500, $3,500?
So that's going to be, what, 26 even? Is that correct, Michael? Make sure I got my numbers right here.
Yes.
So we have a motion, we have a second discussion. Call roll, Justin.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy, Chairman P.
Yes, motion carries. Chairman Harris.
My last one is Barnabas, and I'd like to give them what they requested, which was 25 grand. And this is a great organization and great compliment to the Rutherford County, and I'd like to give them what they need, what they requested.
I have a motion. Barnabas, the Barnabas Vision.
Second.
I have a second. Discussion. Mayor.
So I'm not opposed to the motion or the request, but I do want to give an explanation as to the logic behind how I went about trying to determine who got what and how much. As you know, this was a tight budget year, and I asked every single department to come in, and Michael will attest to this, come in lean and mean. And we had some budgets, some departments came in literally under what we gave them last year. And I just wanted to be as equitable and fair across not just the departments, but those other entities like the 501c3s. So I didn't cut anybody back, but it was difficult raising those amounts, to be quite honest. And so that was, for the committee, that was the logic. I wasn't trying to penalize anybody. I wasn't trying to be punitive. It was my best attempt at being fair and equitable in a tight budget year, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
I don't think, I don't think you did anything. I mean, I think you're trying to do a budget, but I know these organizations, if I can help, I can help. So that's where I'm at. It's had nothing to do with the mayor in any way, slide or anything like that.
No.
Mr. Chairman, can I clarify the
Yes,
motion?
clarify the
We
motion.
want to, the current budget has 5,000 in there. You want to go to 25 for an increase of 20, correct?
Yes.
And that's okay with the second, Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Okay. Further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy, Chairman P.
Yes, motion carries. Now, this gets us down to why we're here. And Michael, do you want to give us the overview and tell us our next steps that we actually need before we're able to get out of here tonight?
Give me 1 second. I'm told on all the changes.
I'll tell you what, while he's doing that, let's take a 5-minute break. Back in session, and before we move into item 8, Michael has got a request here.
I apologize. Me and the mayor talked as recently as 30 minutes ago, and he reminded me of something that we had forgotten about. We've been working through, and we got the quotes back this week. And I'll let the mayor chime in here in a second, too. The Juvenile Detention Center under Lynn Duke, they came to us maybe a month ago, 3 weeks ago. And they have an issue with their visitation software. I believe that's what it's called. And we have been working, and we thought we could do it out of this year's budget to get it fixed. And we don't think we can. We checked with maintenance department, OIT department, and their department. We can't get enough funds out of the current budget to do it. So we had two options. One is to bring in a budget amendment to you next Thursday. That's still an option if this committee wishes. The other option is to add it to next year's budget. That would be my recommendation. I believe the mayor's as well. But that cost is about $125,000 one-time cost. And we have to address that system somehow. We don't really have a choice as far as addressing it. But really, it's going to be up to which year we want to address it in. We worked with OIT to get a solution, and they're kind of patching it together. But the current software, it's breaking down, to the best of my understanding, no longer has vendor support that no longer exists. And so our IT department has come to us and said, you've got to do something.
Yeah, so just for clarification, they came to us initially, Michael, 2 months ago, saying, hey, this is going to be an issue, and at that time, we thought we could find the money in this year's current budget. We were unable to do so. This is a statutory requirement. We've got no choice here. We were unable to find the money in the current budget year, so what Michael and I are requesting is we put it in the 26-27 budget.
Michael, we added several things tonight, and if we add this, is that going to make any differences as far as a tax increase or not? I want that to be,
No.
in which I was sure that it wasn't, but I want to clarify that because we've made several changes here. So don't anybody, no knee-jerk reactions.
We'll start cutting out somewhere else first.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
definitely
Just to
would.
clarify, I do not think in any way, shape, or form will this anywhere remotely affect whether we should increase taxes or not. Like I said, we looked at two options. We were trying to piecemeal something out of OIT's budget and maintenance and the juvenile detention budget, and we just couldn't make it work for sure without touching too many salaries. And there's still a chance we could. So we looked at several options, and honestly, we just kind of came to the conclusion this is probably the best option, just to go ahead and put it in the budget. If there's a chance to do it in this year's budget, we'll still do it, for sure.
Yeah, and to that point, it doesn't remove the original intent, which is if we end up with the money, because we will know more as we get through into June, then we may come back and say we don't need it, and we'll go ahead and spend it now. That still leaves that option on the table, right? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So, Michael, unless the money shows up, as we just mentioned, where would we take this? From the general fund, and whose budget would it go into? I know you said two options there.
If we add it, we could take it out of unassigned fund balance as a budget amendment, and we could do that if that's what the committee wants to do. Or we could just add it to next year's budget, because time we do the budget amendment and everything else, it's about the same, and get all the quotes back, it's going to be about just as easy to add it to this budget. But it would be added to Lynn Dute's budget and juvenile detention. And like I said, it's more of a one-time cost. It's not a reoccurring, it's to replace that outdated visitation software, which I believe may be original. I mean, it's dated.
Yeah, it's old, and they quit supporting it, and we require support for the software. It's real simple.
Having heard that, do I hear a motion or suggestion from the committee which way you'd like to go on this? And our options are to move it to our next regular meeting and ask for a budget amendment, is that correct?
Or I would recommend we just add it to the budget, is the easiest thing, is just add it to the budget we're fixing to propose tonight. And like I said, my apologies, I meant to bring it up at the start of the meeting and I just forgot.
And that will go on Lynn's budget.
Yeah, just a motion for an additional 125 one-time expense in Ms. Duke's budget is what you're asking for, right, Michael?
What's the advantage to doing it in next year's budget is to just taking it out of fund balance and moving on?
Well, so if I take it out of fund balance and I put it in the current year today and I don't get a PO drawn in time, then I got to amend next year's budget, excuse me, anyways. And I don't know that we can, because it's over 100,000, there's a chance we're probably going to have to bid it or pull off state contract. So I'd have to get a PO pulled before June 30th, which is about a month. Today's the 27th, so about a month. I'd have about 30 days to get all of that done and pulled a PO. And if I don't, I'll have to amend next year's budget anyways. So there's really no advantage other than I just thought it was easier.
Commissioner Piercy, you're recognized.
Early on, and I believe it was our first budget meeting, there was a problem with the election commission. Did that get resolved in their budget?
Yes, when Mr. Farley came up here and made a request, this committee took action on that, and y'all fixed his budget that very first night.
Thank you.
Further discussion on the software issue for Lynn Duke's department. Do I hear a recommendation or a motion?
I'll make the motion to add it to the budget.
I have a motion to add the $125,000 for the visitation software to Lynn Duke's budget.
Second.
And a second. Discussion. Call roll, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris? Yes. Commissioner Irvin? Yes. Commissioner Johnson? Yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Chairman P?
Yes. All right.
It's going to go specifically in line item 54-240-709, data processing equipment. That line is currently 0 as it stands right now, and that line will go from 0 to 125.
Okay, that now moves us back again to item 8, to propose the 26-27 budget for publication. And first we'll look at the property tax rate by fund. Is that correct, Michael?
Yes, and, sorry, I'm updating. Yes, and if you'll go to tab 1 in your books, when we're on this item, you'll notice there was a statement of proposed operations, and obviously we've made changes to the appropriations column. But I want to draw your attention to the first 3 columns right there. You'll see something that says adopted rate. There's some movement of pennies and changes right there, and a proposed rate. So this year is a little unique. So what I would propose to the committee is that where it says that proposed rate, that is what we put in the publication, because we don't have a certified rate. And I will asterisk, that this is a proposed rate that does have some movement of pennies in there. Obviously, those are going to change when we get a certified rate. We've talked about our rate going from $1.87 down to potentially $1.50 or $1.40. But I think the best solution, in speaking with also the county attorney, is to publish that with the movement of those pennies, and that be our published rate. And then once we get the certified rate, that's the rate we'll actually adopt. But I think this shows there's no proposed tax increase, and we are proposing some movement of pennies.
And that rate right now is 1.8762?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion from, the proposed rate is 1.8762 for the proposed tax rate that we were going to publish.
That's
Yes,
correct.
sir. Yes, sir.
So when will we get a thing on the move pennies?
Well, I can't propose any official movement of pennies until we get the certified rate. This, on that page that's in your book right there, that is going to be the gist of what the proposal is right now to move those pennies around. So you'll notice there's a reduction of some funds and pennies and an increase. Now, obviously, those net to zero because there is no proposed tax increase. But you will see there's a shift of pennies around in there. And again, that will change because our rate will most certainly drop, which will reduce the number of pennies you move. But just for clarification, the penny today, this budget year, is roughly a little over 1.6 million. I would imagine our penny goes to 2 million next year. But that would mean, for example, if I'm adding 3.2 pennies to the general fund, the new rate, I may only add half of that, or we may add 2 pennies, but it would still be worth as much on a percentage basis as what's being proposed here. But that's the only way that I can come up with it. And like I said, I also checked with the county attorney to see if we can come up with anything, and we just don't have a certified rate, but we're required to propose something for publication.
So we'll discuss movement of the pennies once you get that tax?
But there is a proposal right now in your book to move those pennies right now as it stands in your book on that page. So the way
which category does the amount of money that we send to Murfreesboro City Schools, which line is that on this?
it is not in there, but where you see general purpose school fund and you'll see a negative 4.2 pennies, do you see that?
Yes.
That would affect the city schools if that's what you're asking me.
Okay.
That's what's in this proposal.
Mm-hmm. And I'll add, we obviously every year we strive to pass a budget without raising taxes. And to do that, the only way we can balance everything this year is those movement of pennies that are proposed there. I mean, that really is kind of for me to the mayor or the commission here, that's kind of the number one charging order I get is, Michael, figure out how we can pass a budget with no tax increase and give everything we want. I'm paraphrasing, but that is the only way I see possible is the movement of those pennies proposed in front of you.
Any further discussion or questions for Michael on the property tax rate proposal, which is same as last year? Commissioner?
Just a quick question, the timeline. Can you go through the timeline, the specific, because part of me is asking, what's the rush? I hear that we have to publish a certain period of time in advance, but there are mechanisms that would give us some flexibility.
So
if there were events or whatever that occurred and we weren't able to come to terms with it.
So what we publish, you are not beholden to that. You could still raise taxes or lower taxes, or you can change anything you want all the way up until the morning we vote on the budget. I'm required to propose something per the Private Act gives me a deadline. We'd have to put something for publication. You're not beholden to any of this, but obviously we make the best good faith effort to propose, what's the most accurate, but I'm required to propose something, and I don't have that date in front of me. I have to pull up the Private Act. That's in the Private Act. And so that's how we build the budget calendar every year is I find that date that the Private Act says, and I back up everything to it. And we actually call the paper and say, hey, when can we get it in the paper? And that's how we set tonight's meeting date typically, is from that, how fast we can get it in the paper. And it's usually a one-page ad, and that template is set usually by there's a template set, and I have to put those items in there for proposal.
So the publication, for clarification, is in advance of the public hearing that we necessarily have to have. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Further discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the property tax rate for publication. I have a motion, I have a second. Further discussion? And again, this is the exact same rate that we have.
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with the committee, I'm going to read those movement of pennies just so we can have it. We do every year.
Please do.
So the county general fund, under the proposed rate, would be .7656. Ambulance fund would be .0964. The highway fund would be .0072. General purpose school fund would be .5207. The education capital projects fund would be .1030, and the general debt service fund would be .3833, for a total rate of 1.8762. So in total, there is no change from the prior year. So okay with the motion? I don't know who made the. Is that okay with the Chairman Harris? Is that okay with your motion?
It's okay with you, yeah.
Do we need to add a caveat that assessed values are changed? In other words, how detailed does this need to be? I mean, I get.
That's it.
I guess the revenues, I get that part. Okay, and I get the expenditure part. Do we need to build something in saying, hey, your property values are going to change, and so this rate's going to drop, and blah, 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 blah?
No, that's not, like I said, we're not beholden to this. We just have to propose something, and we try to get the most good faith effort. And we went and read the TCA the other day. I checked with Nick to make sure I was reading it right, because there's many years that we'll propose something in the morning of the budget meeting. It changes, and that's okay. But we will voluntarily add a asterisk that says something about the certified rate on here. But I don't believe it's required, but I think we're going to do it voluntarily, just in a good faith effort for the public.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin? Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Chairman P.
Yes, motion carries. Brings us to item B, revenue and expenditures by fund. Michael, I'm
So if the committee will bear with me, I'm going to read every budgeted fund, and I'm going to read their estimated revenues, and then I'm going to read their estimated appropriations, and this will summarize everything we've done over the last several budget meetings. So if you'll just bear with me, I'll read them for the record for us. So the county general fund would have estimated revenues of $196,960,106 and appropriations of $197,522,218. That is the new total after all the changes tonight. Does anybody want me to read that one again? So the appropriations would be $197,522,218 for the county general fund. And I'll move on. Solid waste fund is next, and I'm going in order of the ones on your sheet, if you want to follow along. So 116, our solid waste fund would have estimated revenues of $17,204,504 with appropriations the same. The ambulance fund would have revenues of $28,803,795 with appropriations the same. Our 119 fund would have estimated revenues of $120,802 and appropriations of $699,408. Our special purpose fund 121 would have estimated revenues of $5,000 and appropriations of $40,000. Our drug control fund will have, estimated revenues of $483,000 and appropriations of $1,040,000. Our highway fund would have estimated revenues of $16,599,273 and appropriations of $16,481,090. Our 141 general purpose school fund will have estimated revenues of $587,876,547 and appropriations of $597,757,055. The 143 Centralized Cafeteria Fund will have estimated revenues of $26,844,250, with appropriations of $35,388,150. The Educational Capital Projects Fund will have estimated revenues of $19,354,969, and appropriations the same. And our General Debt Service Fund will have estimated revenues of $72,019,443, and appropriations of $71,531,377. Now's the test. Can anybody repeat it back to me? Just kidding. The total revenue for all the budgeted funds would be $966,271,689. And total appropriations would be $985,822,566.
And that's updated with all the changes we've made tonight.
Yes.
Well, you did
A lot
quick
of numbers.
work in that 5-minute break we had. So we're knocking on a $1 billion budget.
If
Knock on
you
the door.
include the capital money that is not a part of this, we are well over $1 billion.
What's the over-under?
The total over-under is $19,550,877 under. I can go by fund if you would like. The main, and I will say, out of that 19.5 million, 141 and 143 make up 18 million of it.
Repeat that last number?
So I tell you what, I'm going to go by fund. I'll just go by fund. So the over-under on the county general fund is $562,112. I will also remind the committee on that, we do have some grant funding in there. So part of that 562 is money that we've received this year that we'll spend next year. The negative on the, or the under on the 119 fund is $578,606. I will also remind the committee to look at the adjustments column to the right. That is because that is where our principal and interest money comes in from the Rutherford County Airport Authority. Our special purpose fund has a under of 35,000. Our drug control fund has an under of 557,000. The highway fund has a surplus of 118,183. The general purpose school fund has an under of $9,880,508. Centralized cafeteria fund has an under of $8,543,900. And the general debt service fund has a surplus of $488,066. That would be a total under of $19,550,877.
And what portion of that did you say was general purpose and centralized cafeteria?
Those two together were $18,424,408.
Thank you.
Again, the mayor's proposed budget is very tight. We appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you.
Chairman Phillips reminded me last night that that was the mayor's recommendation along with the Board of Education. I was glad to be so informed in my fourth and final year as mayor.
Okay. Questions from our committee. So we're going to finish up tonight, we're going to need to have a motion to accept the revenue and expenditures by fund as Michael has just read them for publication. Do I hear any discussion or a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion
Yeah.
and just second, maybe 2 seconds. Further discussion. Call roll, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Chairman P.
Yes, motion carries. Couple of announcements. I'm not aware of any other business we have. Michael? Our next meeting is Thursday, June the 4th, which is our regular meeting. We have talked about having the state come in and give us a presentation again on the
Pension.
on the pension. However, the gentleman that gave the presentation to us is not going to be available on those dates. And Michael's been in discussion with him, and I want input from y'all on what direction we need to go. But go ahead, Michael.
So we have a couple of options. I talked to Drew Freeman, who's the outreach director at the Department of Treasury. He's the one who gave the presentation a month or two ago to this committee. In conjunction with Chairman P., Chairman Phillips had asked that we put that back on the agenda on June 4th to try to take some action at some point. He is not available those dates to come back on June 4th. He has offered a couple of solutions for us, and I'm at the will of the committee here. He can send somebody. James Armistead, Sonia knows who, that he is willing to send, I think, James on June 4th to answer questions for this committee if we wish to take action. He has also talked about how, and I think Chairman Phillips has mentioned this, it's a big topic. You know, changing a pension system is a big decision, it's a big topic. He is available if we were to have a July meeting. I just checked with him. He could come to a July commission meeting if we wanted to keep that scheduled, so that is a possibility for this committee, or Chairman Phillips, if we wanted to do that, just have that one or two items on the July agenda. Drew is available to come to that meeting, but most part for month of June, he's not available at our meeting, so he would have to send somebody. So I'm at the will of the committee. He said just to let him know, and they will either send somebody or he will personally come. And I will also remind the committee, if we make any changes to the pension plan, we have to do that 6 months in advance of the change. So I would highly recommend, if we were to make any change, that we don't make it effective until July 1 of next year. So it wouldn't go into effective July 1, 2027. And that seems like a long time, but when you've got to make something 6 months in advance minimum, it is something that if we want to make a change, we should not put off until the fall. It is definitely something that if this committee wishes to take action, we should pick something in the next few weeks.
Sonia, you're recognized.
I would, James Armistead, I work with him all the time. He is extremely knowledgeable, and I think, I mean, obviously it's up to this committee, but he works with me all the time, and I would say that he would be able to share the information unless you disagree, Michael.
The only thing, and I think me and Chairman Phillips, I'm looking at Chairman Phillips because we've talked about this, if he comes on the 4th and this committee were to take some action, which definitely we could do, it is a large topic, and we do have a lot of business right on June 11th or the June 22nd meeting. So I just think it's a discussion that, you know, and you don't have to tell me right now, we'd have to make a decision over the next few days. But do we want, if this committee were to take action on June 4th and send something to the commission, do we want to add it to the June 11th or the June 22nd, or would we have a July meeting? I'm just putting that out there for the committee to discuss and maybe give me some direction. And Sonia has been a big help on this too, so give us some direction on kind of what you want.
Chairman Phillips. Do you have the date?
I believe it's July 16th, but I may.
But is the budget committee meeting in July?
This is a full commission meeting.
Right, but is the budget committee going to be meeting in July?
I hope not.
Oh.
But, you know, if something's brought to us, you know, that could change. While he's looking up his date, I do want to throw out my personal preference, and this is from looking ahead. You know, we're going to have, 5 new commissioners, and to me, we're not going to be able to make any changes without waiting 6 months. To me, doing this in July makes more sense. You know, you'll have other people that are closer to their primaries or whatever in the general elections that can sit in on this as well as the full commission. And I had, rather than just have budget look at it, I would rather the full commission get a good dose of this too, because it's very important on where we're headed in the future. Now, that's my preference, to do it in July at a full commission meeting. If that's okay with Chairman Phillips, he's the one that's going to set that agenda, but that's my preference. And of course, I'm at y'all's disposal. You know, if you change your mind or y'all want to do something different, please tell me.
Our July meeting will be held on the 16th, and on my calendar, I've got a budget committee meeting scheduled for the 9th, and I would suggest that we use that time frame to have both of those meetings if the state is available on those dates.
I know Drew Freeman, and he will probably bring James with him. I know he is available. When I talked to him on the phone, I told him to go ahead and pencil in the 16th, which he did. I've not checked with him on the 9th. I think also for the committee, do we want, because it is a lengthy presentation, he asked what y'all would want from him. I don't know that it's necessary to give the entire presentation, although he is definitely willing to. If we have that budget meeting on the 9th, does he give that same presentation on the 9th again to the committee, or does he give it on the 16th? I think he's just going to look for some direction from us on what we want him to present, or do you want him to just come and answer questions? I guess I'm just kind of looking for some feedback from the committee on what y'all would like to see.
Sonia, help me with this, but the amount of money that we're talking about is staggering. And my thought is that this commission has been dealing with this topic this spring, and I really want this commission to deal with this subject and topic by the end of this session, by the end of this term. We'll go through months of re-educating the new commission that's seated, and I'd rather for this commission to handle that, and whatever the date we come up with, whether it's January or whether it's July of next year, but I'd like for this commission to do it. And if we can work it out in that July process, I think we'll take a lot of pressure off of the new commission that's being seated to have to make a lot of decisions that they may not be extremely familiar with.
Michael, real quick, to follow up with Chairman Phillips' question, this would only require a resolution on the part of the commission. This, again, doesn't require a private act. Is that correct?
That's correct. And I think what I'm kind of referencing is, I think my recommendation would have him come straight to commission. And the reason I say that is because if he gives the exact same presentation to budget again, which he is definitely willing to do, I don't know that y'all will hear anything different from him. But I definitely think the full commission needs to hear and be able to answer his, the questions that y'all are able to ask. I think that's maybe my recommendation is for him to come directly on the 16th. But again, he's willing to come to both.
So to that point, if I hear Chairman Phillips correctly, if you had the meeting on the 16th, then it gives you potentially the 16th and the August meeting to finalize things. Is that your thinking?
Yes, sir.
Well,
does that sound okay, Michael? We don't have to do that budget presentation if this budget committee is comfortable with that. But is there a way that we could share potential financial obligations at that budget meeting? Is it possible?
It is, and I think one thing we can do is he can give me his entire presentation again, and I can email that to the commission as soon as next week. The other thing we could potentially do is send a link to that meeting that presentation was almost 2 hours maybe it was an hour and a half. I could send a link to that video, which is online for anybody to watch, but we could send a link so nobody had to go hunting for it to every commissioner or anybody that wanted it. I almost think that would be good to allow the commissioners to watch that video before that 16th meeting. And then as part of that presentation, we'll have some numbers that we email out to every commissioner. I'm happy to have that meeting on the 9th. I just don't know that from a finance office, we'll have really anything to vote on that 9th.
If you can do that, we can make the announcement, especially at our June the 11th meeting, about all of those things and encourage every commissioner to view that before the July meeting. So I think that's probably a pretty good plan. If I were the new mayor coming in, I would want this commission and this mayor to make those decisions where he and the new commission wouldn't have to. And if I were him, that's what I'd want to do.
Was there a handout of the slides on his presentation?
I believe he sent in that PowerPoint, and I emailed that PowerPoint and put it on SharePoint, which is still out there. I don't know that there was he did give a handout, and that was our current pension rate that we get, but we also voted on that night as an attachment. That was where we voted on the 13.62 that we're going to pay next year. But I can put that with the the email. We just gave an extra handout that night. It was already on SharePoint, but we just printed it.
If I remember the handout or the slides, printed slides was very informative, and I may even have it at the house, but if we had that, that would bring our recollection back to the presentation. That would be helpful.
And I can get that as a hard copy to this committee. When we've got, this committee has at least 3 more meetings this month. So we can hand that out at any of those meetings this month.
Can you print it in color?
The finance office does not have a colored printer.
Justin, could you print that in color?
I can print that in color.
Ms. Stevenson, did you have a comment you wanted to add too, please?
The one thing that I was thinking is if the presentation goes out or the video link and they watch that, it would be helpful in my mind if we just had like a quick sheet that says, okay, this is what's anticipated in the fund as is today, and then have our options. The next column would be, okay, if we went to a 5% contributory under the current plan, if we went to the hybrid plan, because that might be easier to see long-term, like what will be the net effects of this. And I think we have to remember, I know you've said this multiple times, is that this will not impact existing employees. And so we need to make sure that that's very clear to anybody who's an existing employee. But it would be for new hires. But I think so it's going to take some time for us to realize the savings. So like we won't see the savings probably for the first 5 years, but then maybe after that you're going to start seeing the savings. And so I just feel like if you could just see what the cost is and what the anticipated cost might be, that might be helpful to the group.
I've already started talking with Drew today about getting maybe a specialized handout that's a little more condensed than the big, long presentation we got. Yeah, and so me and him talked today about that. I'm going to reach back out to him tomorrow. I told him I was going to get some direction from this committee tonight and speak with Chairman Phillips about what the thought process was. I feel like I've got that direction now. I will talk with Drew tomorrow or Friday this week. And then I think we can make an announcement at our June 4th meeting or our June 11th commission meeting about what we're doing going forward, if that's okay, Chairman Phillips.
Sounds perfect.
And then as soon as I get any documents, I'll share them with the commission, HR, the mayor's office. Y'all have exactly what I have so that we can all make a
I wonder too, and they may not know this, but on our pension plan, it's kind of like a la carte, like you go to a nice restaurant and you choose like, oh, I want a baked potato with a salad. I wonder if some of the options that we have, he could tell us which options that we're paying for but we're not being utilized, that maybe we could eliminate some options as well as the 5% contributory instead of, Michael knows I'm not an advocate for moving away from the legacy, but I know from a financial standpoint, we've got to do some changes.
I will say internally, I've ran numbers. I think it is going to be hard to see any real savings other than staying where we're at. And I'm going to go ahead and tell the committee up front. It is going to be hard to realize any true long-term savings than either we stay right now on the legacy plan or we move to the hybrid. Now, we have ran the numbers on everything Sonny's talking about, and I think those should be presented, and we will present those. But they don't move the needle on the amount of number that we're talking about, the multi-millions of dollars that it's costing us. We looked at a 20-year or a 10 or 20-year vesting. We looked at a 5% contributory. None of those moved the needle for us enough or even close to enough that the hybrid plan did. We might as almost have just stayed at the regular legacy. And I'm just sharing that with the committee, but we'll definitely present those.
I mean, if you go to the 5% contributory and we did adjust some of the options that we have, that might make a difference because there's some options that we have that may help us to stay in this plan. And I know that some of the entities that had gone away from having the pension are now looking to come back. And so I think from a recruitment standpoint, my biggest concern with the hybrid plan, and I won't belabor this, is that there's a defined benefit part of it, a defined contribution piece of it, that if the employee leaves, they take our money with them. And the way it's set up right now, if we invest, the money stays in the plan as opposed to leaving with the employee. So that's just my thoughts.
Well, we certainly have time to look at this. I'll repeat again, our next regular meeting, June 4th, and we can finalize some of the debate we've had tonight about when we will see this. Our next meeting, of course, is June the 11th for the full commission, but our next meeting here is after the June 4th and the 11th full commission is Tuesday, June 16th, where we will have our public hearing at 7 p.m. And that's one that, different time change. And we normally meet the day after to discuss anything that we heard that's pertinent on the public hearing. But that'll kind of give you an idea of where we're headed. Michael, you got anything you want to add?
No, I'll just reiterate, that public hearing is going to be at 7 p.m. You are more than welcome to show up at 5:30 and hang out, but 7 p.m., that's a time change that always throws us for a loop. So that's 7 p.m. But then please be prepared that next night. It is a tight turnaround. That next night, we have to propose a tax levy and appropriations resolution to go to the full commission that following Monday on June 22nd. And I believe that meeting's at 9 a.m.
No.
Assuming we have certified tax rate.
Yes. I'm optimistically hopeful.
An optimist over here. That's good. Any further business? Hearing none, we're adjourned.